All right, so thanks a lot for showing up, folks. I'm your host, Mike Pugh of the FBC Virtual Channel, and you're tuning into a Wakaru series, a Blender 2.8 series. I really do apologize for the silence in the first 3 minutes or so. I did not realize that my microphone wasn't connected properly. So I got the microphone connected. This is the previous version, if y'all folks didn't see it, or previous session, I should say, Blender 2.8 Wakaru animation pipeline. And this little bar MMD tool. So if you didn't watch this video, you can look in the description of this live stream to check it out. It will lead to this live stream I'm doing today. And what you saw earlier was just my build up process. I'm going to edit those parts of the video down so that this live stream session can actually turn into a really higher quality pre-recorded live session on my YouTube channel, which will be a video for folks who watch it. So we got Wakaru. What is Wakaru? Just as a review, if y'all folks never ever heard of it or never seen it before, it's for VTubers. It's something that you can use as an animation software type of toolkit per se, and you can animate any of your characters in 3D that you created. If you are a 3D animator, 3D modeler, you will know how to gear your actual models onto Wakaru with ease, because if you know Blender, or even if you don't know Blender, I can help guide you through the pipeline from Blender to Wakaru. There's a couple of procedures that you have to know, but if you understand animation, if you understand 3D modeling, you can definitely do it. If you don't know 3D modeling, then you're going to probably have to go through the whole entire course that I will be preparing soon, and I'm going to try to get it to be an organized course as opposed to what I've done on YouTube. On YouTube, pretty much I have it where I started out the pipeline and then I stopped because Blender went and upgraded from Blender 2.79b to Blender 2.8 beta, and in that transition I had to kind of back off because I knew that the newer version of Blender is going to supersede the older version, and I had to basically upgrade my knowledge as well on using Blender 2.8 beta. Plus I had to wait for the plugins that are required on Blender to get the pipeline to be completed. So Wakaru basically is built into Unity, and the way it is, as it is, if you got it, it's also built onto Steam, I should say, and using the Unity tool for 3D game development and for 3D software, whatever types of 3D software developments that you can do within a viewport using Unity. You can use it to create film production and animation and many different things besides gaming and game development. So the developers of Wakaru pretty much use Unity to create it, and then they incorporated it into Steam. So if y'all folks never heard of it before, now you know that's what pretty much it is and how it came to be. And they did it for VTubers. So what is a VTuber? On YouTube, you pretty much can play your character out behind a webcam. So you sit behind your webcam and you can play out your character that you created as a 3D model, and it basically will move the facial features, and take somewhat the physical attributes of what you do behind the webcam and demonstrate and show what you move and how you talk and mouth motions, things like that. It will show on the screen to your viewers. So VTubers pretty much do that behind a webcam, which is pretty cool that a webcam can actually detect, you know, whatever your motions, and then the software can interpret that and put it onto the screen for your viewers. Now with Wakaru, it comes with only one character that's offered to the community, and the reason why the developers did that, I believe they want us as creators, 3D artists and creators, to push the platform as far as we want it to go. So what we have to do is go in and learn from our own knowledge base and skill and apply it to what we can apply on the platform for Wakaru through Unity. So in order to do that, if you wanted to, you can use other people's content that they created prior to you getting to these platforms. So say you was into the MMD community and you wanted to use other people's mul not mul I think it's MMD Miko Miko dance models. So you can use Miko Miko dance models to get and gear your characters that you wanted to merge in, but it's not going to be yours per se 100%. It's going to be borrowed characters. So if you don't want to borrow other people's characters and have to get permission and pretty much be limited where you can't really use it as a commercial use, then you can do the method that I am talking about, what I'm trying to help y'all folks to get, which is the pipeline from Blender. So how do I get my characters onto Blender? That's a good question. If you have that in your mind, I use what is known as MakeHuman and also other character generators software. So MakeHuman slash the MakeHuman community software, it is a powerful 3D software package that you can get for your computer, and it will help you to create characters from scratch. You don't actually generate the characters. The character is generated. It's a base mesh, comes out as like a nude character, and then you build it up behind the background. So what I'll do, I'll block out that character at the moment, put on my slideshow, and y'all folks are not seeing anything that I'm talking about. That is pretty crazy. I forgot that I didn't transition over to this screen, which is the display capture. So that was a little error right there. So let me go back and rewind back real quick. So everything that I was talking about is pertaining to Wakaru. I really do apologize to y'all folks for making that error. I didn't even realize that OBS wasn't on the right screen. I should have pressed another button, which button was that? I did press it. I thought it was supposed to move it over, but it didn't move over. It didn't work the way I intended it, which is okay. So here we go. We're on Steam. Here goes Wakaru, and I was talking about Wakaru basically. This is the tool. I'm sure a great many people who watched my videos in the past already know about it because I talk about it and jump in and out of discussions about it, because this is something that actually motivated me to learn Blender. When I first started with 3D, I started with Adobe Dimension and using what is it? The Adobe Fuse. So I was on the Adobe Cloud platform using Adobe's programs and software, and I had no idea what I was doing, but the Adobe Dimension tool kind of motivated me to learn 3D, to eventually get into it, because when I first tried it out with Blender about 5 years to close to 6 years ago, I wasn't motivated. I wasn't really digging it because Blender was kind of hard for me back then, and I was like, why can't I do anything? It was really tough. I didn't even know there was a left click mouse click control type of a capability. Like I didn't know which button controlled what. So now with Blender 2.8 beta, it's like really powerful because left click enabled controls is what they give you the ability to do, which means that you could use your left click mouse button to control everything on the screen that you want to control. Before it was right click by default, and for the people who like to use their mouse, like going to Google, looking for stuff, searching, clicking, whatever type of clicks that you do on your computer, generally is going to be done with your left click mouse button. So now that Blender has a left click control by default, it's really going to change the game, because most 3D software works with a left click control starting out from default. But you can always default it back to right click. So now that y'all folks know that part about my experience, I mean, this was powerful for me to run into. When I ran into this, I was already using Steam. I was using Epic Games Unreal Engine. I was trying to play around with Unreal, and I didn't really know what I was doing, obviously. I still to this day don't know what I'm doing on Unreal, the Unreal Engine, but I have more 3D knowledge. I have some more basics to understand what I want to do. If you don't know what you want to do when you're on a 3D software, it's really hard because you don't have a concept behind what you're going to create. You don't have a template. You don't have a base mesh. You don't have something to start off with. So literally, you're going to start off with what they give you. And like Blender, generally Blender, I'm not running Blender right now, but if I ran up Blender pretty much you would get the cube starting out. So talking about that with the base mesh, hopefully y'all know a little bit more about Wakaru as the VTuber stuff and all that stuff I talked about. I apologize again with the blue screen that I had left up there, but all right, so our screen is good. We're gonna go over to MakeHuman. Starts out with a nude character, like I talk about all the time. Not a nude character, it's funny, right? But you can throw in any of your characters if you're already pre-done, pre-designed or pre-modeled characters. So let me just try to throw in. I'll throw in this character known as Pretty. She evolved from last year, 2018. I created her, and then over time I started to evolve her look and appeal. So I'm going to go through a whole entire series of doing customizations on MakeHuman because the average person may not understand. Even with this simple tool, this is much more simpler to use than Blender. If you go on Blender, you're not going to generate a character like this from moving levers on the screen and clicking buttons real quick. It won't work. On Blender, you're going to have to actually learn 3D modeling basics from scratch and have to construct the entire model from edge to face to vertice, edges, and faces. That's how 3D models are created in a digital format. So you basically have to literally pull lines, pull points on the screen to make the 3D model look the way it looks. Also, you may need a reference to start out with. So I'm learning that stuff slowly but surely. I'm enrolled in a Udemy course, and it's run by Darren Lyle. Darren Lyle is a certified 3D modeler, and I'll try to type his YouTube channel in his video's description area. Once this video is launched onto YouTube as a pre-recorded session, you should be able to link to it and go to his location. So you can create models like this yourself, but from scratch. Now, the thing with it is that the quality may be different. So MakeHuman has pretty high quality in terms of the visuals because the developers who came up with it, they designed it in such a way where it evolved. It's to the point where you can create almost mimicking a human body and a human facial features and everything. As you can see, it looks pretty decent. Now, in terms of looking and looks, why don't I use MakeHuman as my render engine? You know, why can't I just render it here? You can actually render using MakeHuman, the MakeHuman community software. By the way, I'm using version 1.2.0 Alpha 3. So you can do all the rendering here, but is it going to look really good? Can you manipulate the graphics even further? Can you change the color of the shirt? Can you go in and fix any texture issues, things like that? I would like to say no, you can't do any of that. All you can do is change things that were supplied by the people who actually came up with these characters or came up with the textures. If it's a texture that you got, if it's some sort of clothing type or whatever, you can change the types of things that are built into it, which are 3D models, but you cannot manipulate them. So that's where Blender comes in, and with Blender you can literally manipulate all of the 3D model effects and assets that's built in to MakeHuman. How does that work? You basically will either export it, or you can have this community option here and connect through the socket. You go into the socket section and you click the check mark. I'm not going to do it because it has IP information built in and all of that. But pretty much they also have an upgrade, which is a mass produce upgrade, which is pretty powerful. This is not hard. It's just a whole bunch of options that eventually you'll get used to, where you can change certain things, you can check certain things. When you're done, you tell it how many characters you want to produce and just click produce, and it auto generates a mass production of characters that will go to your file section, and it will show up over here in all of these files of choice. Now when you get them to show up, they're going to show up with the title that you chose to give them, with a 0001 and so on and so forth. So that, say you tried to create 5 mass-produced characters, it's going to have 001, 002, 003 to 5, 005. So I did it twice so far, just testing it, and I actually edited one of my characters and came up with another character. So you can play around and have fun, and you can really dig in and do a lot of stuff. You can also use the modeling side here, and in the modeling side is just a whole bunch of sliders where you slide stuff, but you can go to random and you can randomize the character's look and change the way the character looks. So you can move the symmetry over. What I recommend is to make sure the symmetry option is selected up here as well. So you go and you look around and try to find that option. Click the smooth option so it smooths down the skin a lot. Hopefully my live stream doesn't freeze. I think the symmetry option is this one here, where it has this more like orange looking triangles on both sides. And hopefully, wow, it crashed. It's all good. Sometimes this software is not going to work the way you want. Actually, that was the first time I ever experienced a crash on MakeHuman, which is weird, but it happens on anything. Anything digital is going to end up having issues. So let me go back and see if I could do that again. I cannot believe that that crashed. But like I said, nothing's perfect. Anything digital will have some issues. So let's try to activate the symmetry real quick. This is the symmetry option. So whenever you try to perform modeling, you do anything in this modeling area, whatever you do on the left side is going to happen on the right, and it will be symmetrical, fully symmetrical if you click this tab here. So I just wanted y'all folks to see all that. And this is where you get your characters from, basically. You use MakeHuman. Once you get your MakeHuman character done up and everything set up properly, even including having bone structure, if you don't have bones, at least the bare minimum, a default bone structure, you won't get your character onto Wakaru. And that will play significantly when it comes to you being able to make the pipeline work properly the way that you want it. Now, in terms of the face rig, if you have a face rig or not, for those who already know 3D modeling, you should by now know what a face rig is, but this is the face rig here. You don't have to worry about the face rig. If you don't want a face rig, just go with something like a game engine and then try to send that over if you want and test it out and see if it works better. I did find that I had a problem with the chin area or some part around here of the mouth when I got to Unity, so I had to select the game engine one. You can try the default one. I think it was the game engine one. I kind of forgot about it because I haven't used it in a while. I haven't done the whole full pipeline. But the face rig, like I said, is not required for Wakaru. What's required for Wakaru is the shape keys that you're going to get from exporting. So if you go to export, you go to files, you go to export, and you go to MakeHuman Exchange, which is known as the MHX2. You have to get this add-on for Blender, and I showed folks how to do that. If you don't know how to get the add-on and activate the add-on, you can check in my videos, one of my videos that I have out there on YouTube. You can go into the video archive, and I can link y'all folks to it through this video as well. I'll try to remember to do that. But pretty much, let me go and look up on my channel to see if I can find it, so y'all folks can see while I'm doing this live. And let me turn on my phone so maybe y'all folks can communicate to me. I can see if y'all have any questions or anything like that. But let me go into, hold on one second. How do I get to, all right, to the uploads? There we go. So go to all videos, and from there I should be able to get to it. Let's see. What in the world? It's supposed to show all the videos. I want to view all. Come on. All right. So that particular video that had the add-on, I recently done it. It should be around here. I think it's, no, this is not it. This is the MMD tools one. This one you need for the pipeline for sure. The MMD tools. You also need the MHX2. So the MHX2 might be much older video that I did. I'm not seeing it here, but let's see. I don't remember per se exactly where I did it. When I did it, I should say. So here goes some other videos. Let's see. And my phone did not come on. Okay, here it is. MakeHuman 1.2.0 Alpha 1 has MHX2 installed. Well, this one talks about the MakeHuman Exchange, so you can check that video out if you want to know more about the MHX2 and what it can do. Pretty much is really powerful regarding having the creation of a MakeHuman character and then getting that character ported onto Blender. And what it can do once you get to Blender, you have a lot of things that you can utilize as the add-on on Blender. So let's see, I have some other Wakaru stuff. If y'all folks want to get into that stuff, just try to look at my uploads and you'll be able to see what you can get into in terms of it. Here goes OBS Studio Wakaru MMD model intro. This is the intro for those who get into the Wakaru character modeling. Say they did not know how to pipeline their own character on and they just want to use the Alicia character, which is the defaulted character, and they want to use it in conjunction with OBS Studio to do VTubing. This is that video to help y'all folks to do that, so you can learn how to VTube with it. And basically it applies a green screen in the background of her scene that set up through the software. The software gives you the ability to turn the scene into a green screen, and then you can apply the chroma key on OBS to remove the background through that software in conjunction with OBS. So you have to basically put on a screen capture on OBS, and then that works like that. Wakaru animation pipeline prep, custom 3D characters. That one was pretty decent. And what else do I have here? I don't think I have the MHX2. Yikes. So I probably was talking within one of those videos. I don't know if it's this one, or it could have also been, see, MakeHuman Community plugin for Blender. Could have been some of these that I put up. I'm not sure. So in case of the fact that maybe I did one and didn't launch it, I'll do a future video and I'll do a review on the MHX2 add-on and everything that it can do, because it's really, really important to have. No matter what you do, if you have MakeHuman Community, the software, you want to have the MHX2 add-on on Blender. And when you do that, I can show y'all folks real quick. I'm not gonna, I don't know if I put, let's try this smooth thing again, see if that works. It's probably gonna crash it like it did last time. Yep, it crashed it. So I don't know why the smoothing is having issues. It never had issues before in previous versions, but it's all good. So let's throw up Blender. Hopefully my live stream doesn't freeze. If it does freeze at this moment, I really do appreciate y'all folks for showing up and for tuning in and watching my epic fails from the beginning to wherever point in the video. But live stream is powerful, man. It's really, really dope to be able to communicate with people while you're doing live as well. And let me go into the live off of my phone to see. I've never been one to accept. Hold on one second. That's where we started. Yikes. That was an ad, by the way. So there we go. All right, we got Kisme. I arrived late, no problem. What's up, Kisme? What's going on? Thanks a lot for showing up. I really do appreciate you for showing up and whoever else shows up in this live stream session. I really don't stress too much about the fact that people are not showing up in live sessions, because what it does on YouTube, your live video actually will convert after the video is uploaded onto YouTube to a pre-recorded session. So it's all good. So right now we have actually 3 people watching, including myself. So it's 2 people besides me. So here we are, we on Blender. And the MHX2, how does that work in terms of the Wakaru pipeline per se? But in general, how does the MHX2 work for MakeHuman? So you go over here to your tab area or whatever. I guess this is the toolbar for your viewport. And you'll have a whole bunch of other tabs that will show up once you get your add-ons tied in. So if there's an add-on that has a control screen per se, or a pop-up looking screen like this, you will be able to manipulate further whatever's going on in your viewport. So I don't have any character in here yet, but say I wanted to merge the character that I created on MakeHuman in. I have to run the MakeHuman community software, obviously, or have the exported file in one of my folders on my computer. So either way, you're gonna have to have a character up already and done up, you know, set up and everything. So say I wanted to, let me load this character, Earthia. She was a really dope character I created in the past, and that happened recently. Within about a month ago or so, I created her. So say I wanted this character up on Blender, right, using the MHX2. Why would I want to use the MHX2 as opposed to using an object file? Well, obviously I want to get all the advanced features that the MHX2 supports and applies to the character. So it gives high level bone controls, facial controls. It gives more of what they call an armature. So you can get advanced armatures and all kinds of stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set it up for a game engine. So I just went to post and animate skeleton option here off of MakeHuman community software, and then all I got to do by clicking, it's that simple. It's automatically going to be rigged once I export it as a MakeHuman Exchange file. So I go to Files, and then I go to Export, and then I go to MakeHuman Exchange MHX2. So if you don't have, like I said, if you don't have the add-on on Blender, then there's no sense in even doing this, because that MakeHuman Exchange MHX2 file type will be for Blender's import process, pretty much. So we're going to go Export Earthia. Make sure we check these three tiny dots. So we click in this tab here to see where I'm sending this actual file to. So you have to know where you're sending your stuff to in order for you to pick it up and then transfer it somewhere else. So we got to go to my subfolder of a subfolder of a subfolder of a subfolder. So I'm going to my MakeHuman subfolder that I created in my 3D objects subfolder that's tied into my computer's main folders. And then I go to Earthia because I already created a subfolder for her. If you don't know how to do any of these folder creations, just right click in a white space on any of your folders. Once you go into your computer, you should be able to right click and then go to new. And then you just go to folder, you click folder, and then you type in a new name for your folder. Once the blue highlight comes up, you just type in a name. And then when you're done, you just left click, and that's it. You got a new folder. So let me delete this one because I'm going to send her stuff here to MakeHuman Earthia. So there we go with that. We're just going to title it Earthia, which is her name. All right. So now all I have to do is save. So it's going to save in the MakeHuman Exchange file type .mhx2. That's what the developers gave it a file name of, and that's how it's going to be received on Blender. So save, and once I go onto Blender, I just have to import from that folder, and that's it. Very simple. So we go to Blender, and like I said, make sure you have that add-on. If you don't know how to do that stuff, let me know. Hey, yeah, Kisme said hi. So I look back, I'm looking back at my smartphone right now, and I see that Kisme communicated. What's up, Kisme? So what we're gonna do now from the well, this is the add-on section. I don't need the add-on section through the Blender preferences on Blender. I don't need this, so I'm just gonna X that out, and I'm gonna go to regular Blender. So now that we're back on Blender, all we have to do is go to the MHX2 runtime, and that's what the add-on gives you. It gives you this button that has MHX2 runtime, and it also gives you MHX setup. Now nothing's going to happen in here until you import the actual file. So you have to hit this tab that says import MHX2. So what that does is try to activate Blender's brain in terms of digging into your computer. So it goes for a defaulted folder here, which is C drive users backslash or front slash flash slash documents. So that's the path that's defaulted. So you don't want to use that path. Obviously, you want to find exactly where that folder is. So you're going to have to use this little upper turned arrow, or you can use over here. You have other ways to do it. If you have a system bookmark, you can go through there, or you can go through your C drive here or whatever. Whichever method works for you, it may work better. So what I did, I went over here to import and I dragged it down. So all these are customizable. You can drag certain parts on Blender. That's why I love Blender, because it gives you customization options. So you can go and customize how you want this to operate for you based on folders that you want to access. And mine is going to be under some of these folders. So this is a quick way to get to it because it's the most recent things I've done. So I'm going to go to this one that says Black Dude, and that will allow me to go back one step. So into another subfolder, which is the MakeHuman one. So I back up one. Now I'm there faster than I would have gotten there, instead of looking through all the other folders that I have. So now all I have to do is look for Earthia and click that folder there for Earthia, and there goes my Earthia.mhx2. It's very simple, but some people may not understand how to maneuver and navigate through the file folders in Blender's brain. I call this Blender's brain because it literally is where Blender does all its thinking, because this is how Blender connects the files. So in terms of 3D files. So what we're going to do now is just click this and it brings it up here. Make sure it shows up here. We click import, as long as it's the file that you're looking for. And there we go. Now she's actually on Blender. It's that fast. It's not really hard. Now that we got her on Blender, everything should be good. The only thing that I have to do is check all her textures to see if certain things are right, done properly. But we do know that she has bones. As you can see, look at this, she has bones. So this is one way to do it. Now if you do it this way, it's actually the wrong way to import your MHX2. The reason why I'm saying that is because all it's given me is the basics, which is just the game bone structure. I don't have an advanced armature. I don't have any of the shape keys and things that I really would like to have. But I do have this setup here, which gives me advanced controls on what is in the viewport. But like I said, it's somewhat limited. Now I can click over here and try to add face shape drivers. So let's try that to see if it adds any shape keys or face shapes. What face shapes and shape keys or whatever shape drivers do, they give you the expressions, so you can control your expressions. So hold on one second. Let me try to slide her down so I can show you her face. And right now her eyes look black, and that's not really good. So I can't manipulate now because it's in pose mode, so I have to switch from pose mode. And generally Blender is going to switch over modes when it wants to sometimes. When I incorporated the actual character, it went straight to pose mode by default. So I have to click on this arrow and then change it to object mode. To do that, once you do that, it's going to give me the ability to manipulate what's in the viewport. When you're on pose mode, you can only pose certain positions of the bone structure. So now what we're going to do, we got the eyes activated. I just now selected the eyes, and I'm going to go into the properties panel for the materials, and I'm going to go for the settings and go for blend mode opaque, and then go to alpha blend. That should bring the eyes in. It's going to take Blender a little while for it to calculate and distribute the textures and all that stuff, and as you can see, Blender crashed. That's much better than suffering from an actual freeze of the live stream. So we'll bring it back up and try it again. I don't know why the eyes are having issues. I don't know why a lot of this stuff is failing, but it may actually work once I get it working. So I'm glad that actually happened, by the way, because I'm going to try to do it the proper way. In terms of getting the MHX2 file onto Blender, I'm going to try to do it the proper way. And I have a cold, so bear with me with my throat. I'm having little issues with, different things, congestion and stuff like that. So we're going to hit this little tab, bring that up, and actually we'll go and save startup file at this point, so this could pop up every single time, because the way I had saved it, this was hidden. So you can hit the N key to hide it, and N key again to bring it back out. So we're going to go to MHX2 runtime import and just try to move fast. So this is the slower way to move through, which that's why I wanted to jump it before the other way. So we're going to go Earthia, MHX2 import, And now she's back again, and we're going to try to get these eyes to work. As I said, it won't work if I try to select the eyes right now. I'm clicking multiple times, won't work. So change from pose mode to object mode, then click the eyes. If you try to click it now, it may not work. You have to double click sometimes to get to it. So now you see it's highlighted in orange. Anything highlighted in orange means that it's activated and selected. So now I'm going to go to, again, through the material properties and try to change that to alpha blend. And there we go. Now it worked this time. And I did it wrong. So, hey, sometimes you're just going to totally screw up. So I'm going to delete this one. Or I can do Control Z multiple times and back it out until it vanishes, because I don't want any of the 3D information to ruin my next phase in the project. So now I backed it all the way out, Control Z multiple times. We're going to go to import MHX2, but this time the smart way, I just wanted to reiterate that so y'all folks can see you can keep making errors and do it the wrong way. The right way is to override exported data in this left side of the screen, in the center side of the left area of the screen. You go there. What I recommend for folks to do is don't add both the base and the proxy, just add the base. And what that means is that you're going to have 2 layers of 3D data. The proxy is usually set up for like clothing and stuff like that that's going to be added to the character. All kinds of different reasons for a proxy, but I don't want to have both layers. I just want to have one layer because I had issues with this before in terms of trying to get the right setup for my 3D model to show up as being pipelined over to Wakaru. So now we're going to use that base. We're also going to activate the face shapes. As you see here, it says face shapes. So we click that and that activates it there. And then we're also going to activate the face shape drivers. So by doing so, this is going to apply shape keys to the character. That's why you want to go through with the whole process of getting, what do they call it? The override exported data. If you don't do that, you're going to end up having issues where you won't get any shape keys, like I said. So now it becomes a matter of what type of rig that you want. So everything else you can leave the same. You don't have to touch nothing else. Just go down to rigging here, and you don't have to select anything except for the drop menu. So you go to the drop menu, and now we're going to look for what type of rig that we want. And I think a game type is the basic one that I want. So we're going to go with game and then go import MHX2. The reason why I say game is because you want to have a limited amount of bones that's going to be ported over to Unity, and that's going to be transferred eventually to what is known as the PMX editor. And I talked about the PMX editor in my previous video, which is, I should have started this video at that point, but I'm going to eventually merge back to it if my live stream allows me to and I don't freeze out. So we're going to go import MHX2, and that should work out. And now you're going to notice that you have an advanced armature, which is very different from what you've seen before. Sorry about that. Had to cough a little bit. I do apologize. I need a little bit of water. So give me 1 second. I'm going to get some water and I'll be right back. All I need is a squig of water, by the way. Alright, so I got a squig of water. No one else has commented yet. Kids me laughed out loud. So here we're going to go, and I'll show you what you can do with the rig. It's really not that much, but all you can do is pose parts. You know, you can pose the body and make certain body parts move. Things like that. Let's see if the textures are still there. So we got the textures. That's great. So what I did, I moved from the shading type of solid. So it was defaulted to a solid shading. This is the wireframe. And this one is the look dev. And you can also go to rendered. So render, I'm not going to talk about rendering right now, but rendering is when you're ready for your final product and you want to get a really high quality pixel, more like a photorealistic shot or much higher quality shot. Whether you're doing animation or you're doing still shots like 2D shots of the 3D graphic in whatever frames that you wanted to capture. So what we're going to do, we're going to make sure these eyes are set up. So get out of pose mode, throw the eyes back into view. There we go. And now I'll go back to, sorry, we had to switch out of pose mode to object mode. So we're going back to pose mode, and now we're just going to move this around. It won't work when I'm in select box, so I got to go to select, and now we should be able to move our head around and stuff and play around. Right click to send it back from that previous pose position that I was trying to move it at, and as you can see, the mouth has the ability to move, got some motion, and she doesn't have a tongue or teeth, which is not great. But she's just a test dummy right now. I'm just testing her just to see what I can do. Now, the other thing, you can fix a lot of these mesh issues. I'm not going to do that in this video, but I do know how to do it. If you see like skin protruding through the clothes and stuff like that, you can fix all that stuff. So what I'm going to do now is, let's see, object mode, edit mode, pose mode. We're going to go back to object mode. And in object mode, you can make sure that you're selected on the character. So now what I want to do is show y'all folks the other advantages of the MHX2. So while you're in object mode, when you select the armature, it gives you higher controls in terms of being able to activate the shape keys and other things. So when you're not selected, you can't do much. When you're selected, you can do more. So you go down here where it says face shapes, and you click this little arrow, and it activates the shape keys. Basically not activating them, it opens them up because they're closed when you don't select it. So when you open them up, now it gives you the ability to manipulate the face shapes. So you can move these sliders, and these sliders should control the differing facial features that it points out. And I don't see it moving. It should be moving at this very moment. Let's see, open mouth. Nope, it's not working. I don't know why, but it should work, which is weird because I've had it work in other characters. So maybe it's not working for this particular character. It's maybe failing for whatever reason. I don't know why, but currently it should be working to make certain parts of her face move around. So let's see, reset props. Let's try the Vismes real quick and see if the Vismes work. That would really suck. That is not working when I'm trying to show folks how this thing works, and it really isn't working. That's really sad. I'm doing it in live and it's just not working, which I don't understand why it's not working. Pretty interesting. So I'll get to troubleshoot eventually to see why this thing isn't providing the right detail that it's supposed to show. Like every little thing that I move should actually move when I move it. But it's all good. I'm not worried about it. I don't know if it's, I have no idea why it's not working. Whatever, it's all good. Now I did have it working with my other character, so let me port in my other character. Let's move in this guy, Timber. Here we go. This guy, I had him working with the MHX2. So let's try to get it in there, and let's get his materials on. Let's see, shaders, compilation. Yikes, that's not working either. It's probably all not working because I'm doing this live stuff. Actually, let me just shut a lot of this stuff off. I have Epic Games in the background and the GeForce experience. I have a lot of things going on. Let's bring Blender back up. Now you're gonna experience a great deal of fails sometimes, so just be prepared. Actually, let's go to this one that says shape keys. Maybe this one will work a little better. I don't know what I was doing after that to cause it to have issues, but here we go. This is one of my renders that I was doing. We activate that, go to the MHX runtime, and let's check the balloon left and right. There we go. So that's working. So it does work, but I don't know why that character did not work. See? And let's go to the mouth open. I have to fix some of the mesh issues that you see there, where the skin from the mouth is protruding. But you can get an idea that it's going to pretty much become animated in the future by using the shape keys. So that's pretty powerful. Um, Let me hide the bones so you can see it a little better. But yeah, it's not moving fast, but well, actually that's moving a little fast. So you can get it to talk. Eventually, you can get it to basically make your character look not real, but animated. It could animate every part of the facial features that you wanted it to animate. So I'm getting up there closer and closer to where I can actually create something like a short mini short animated footage or whatever, little skits and stuff. I wouldn't say film because film projects take a lot of data. It takes a lot of work to compose it. And I'm not even up there in the knowledge level to get all the props set up properly and have the background scenes and have other characters talking to each other and all of these different things. So to get one character talking is my goal. So if I can get this guy Timber to talk, that would be dope. So now y'all know that's the power of the shape keys. Let's see, lips out. See that? And that's what MHX2 does for you. Now, when you get it over to Wakaru, it should do the same thing. Now, will the character look the same? It will have the basic contours, but it won't have the well-defined look and imagery because the render engines are different and the file formatting for 3D is very different. So it's going to look like a somewhat of a cartoony looking character when you get it over to Unity. And then eventually when you merge it onto Wakaru, it won't look identical in no way, shape, or form. So I just wanted y'all folks to know that. Now the other part, say I wanted to apply the MMD Tools add-on. So that's this here. First I have to bring the bones back, which that's where I left off of my previous video. You make sure you have the bones activated and you click Convert Model. And then you go to OK. So I did have some issues with the textures, and I don't know why the textures did not go all the way and transmit over to the what I use, the PMX editor. So let's go to OK just to show that the bones will convert. When you convert the bones, you lose all the textures. So the textures will go away for some reason. And also in the editor here for the textures, which is the, I believe, let's see, let's go over here. It's the shader editor. It used to be called the node editor in the previous version of Blender. In the shader editor, you're going to notice something happen, which is weird, but the output disappears. There's no output over here. So the output node is missing. See how it says shader, or mix shader? And then there's a node that doesn't have any output connection. So that's why the texture disappeared. So you have to scroll out. This is what happens to mine for some reason. I don't know why, but I scroll out and now we have the MMD texture UV right there, which is, hold on one second, I think it is here. This is the texture coordinate for the UV. And it also creates an MMD shader dev. I don't know what that is. I guess that's the graphic. So that should probably be here where you see this. which is the principled BSDF. So if I can take that and replace it, so I just have to disconnect this here, and you see the material goes dark. Take the material output node and apply it over here. Connect that to the surface, and now you're getting some sort of a texture. And then we take this one, bring it down. I was deleting it before, and that was an error. Let me do Control Z. Okay, I was deleting it in the past, but now I don't want to delete it. I want to get rid of this principal BSDF. So I'm going to delete that one, but make sure where the connections are connected, I apply those same connections, because I think this shader is going to work better. So we'll disconnect this and disconnect this and move it over. And I made an error again. Control Z. So that happened because it was too close to these lines. Whatever's close to the lines will apply itself. So if you move it in, so we're going to take the color node here and go up to ambient color, and then move this down, and then apply this shader to the shader here, and see what we get. Now we're going to delete. I don't know if we should delete this one, or if we should move it in there into the vector for text coordinate. And then I should just delete these two. And now see what we get. So now we have a texture on there, but it looks too glossy. So let's disconnect that. I don't know if that made a difference. And I'm just playing around with this stuff. This is not really what the video is about, but I just wanted to show y'all folks, when you're trying to get the MMD model content to transfer the data, you're going to be frustrated because you're going to say to yourself, all right, I converted it into an MMD model, but where's my graphics? Where's my textures? There's no textures on it. So to solve it, you have to manipulate in the shader editor and start playing around with these. So let's go to diffuse color, see if that makes a difference. I switched from ambient color to diffuse color. And one other thing we can do, let's move this back to vector, and let's X out the image and then open the image again. Go to textures and then go to old light skin female. I put a female skin texture on it just to play around. And let's see, I can see the texture. Look at that. So the texture is there now. Now all we got to do is reduce the glossiness, and the way to do that is there is a roughness somewhere. Let's reduce the roughness here, or add more roughness. See what we get for glossy. Wow, it's way too glossy. So you also can play around with the FAC, or not the FAC, the Fresnel values, and that looks like it's just manipulating the color. I'm not sure. So that's not doing anything. I'll put it back to where it was. And how much time I got for work? I got about a half an hour to get to work, so give or take. That roughness value is not changing. It's not doing much to the roughness value. Let's drop that glossy off and see what that does. Still a little glossy. Pretty weird. Alright, so this all failed. And so I'm not worried about that. We're going to go and put this back to the shader. And I'm going to get rid of this one now and bring back a principled BSDF. So that's probably what it is. I don't know. Let's go to shader, add a principled BSDF, add it here, add the color to base color, and add the BSDF node to the shader. Okay. And there we go. Now we're back. See, so it was most definitely that old one that we should not have used, but I tried it just to see if it would do anything, but it didn't do anything. So you need to use the principal BSDF to get that texture back, which is this one here, most definitely, and get rid of that other one. But the vector thing worked out really well. So now we got the texture back. To get the eyes back, you have to do the same with the eyes, and so on and so forth. So you got to keep looking for these. We want to delete, actually, let's, you got to go to select and then deselect all. Click this one and then delete it. And move this one down. Scroll in. Connect the shader to the surface. And I think you have to get rid of the graphic. Nope, you don't. Because the eyes, now the eyes are connected. Very simple, see? And the same with the eyelashes and eyebrows. Just got to get that, just this one deleted. So you could just click it if you want. That deletes that. And now connect the output to the shader area here. Connect it to the surface. And bam, transparency is automatically applied, which is pretty cool. And let's do the eyebrows. Scroll out. Click off of it. Click on it. Delete. And then move this down. And bam. Now we're just going to connect this to that. And eyebrows should come back in. There we go. So now we got the eyebrows in there. It may not look the way it did before because it has to have a specific alpha on it. So let's go to alpha blend, see if that works. And there we go. It worked now. A little bit better. So now we got those textures. If you want to work out the rest of the textures, you have to do the same thing. So it's just the same process because this silly thing was added. Nice outfit. Look at that. It turned all black. Maybe I could use just this outfit. Cool. And then go down and let's see, use the shoes or connect the shoes. And the shoes is really screwed up.